For centuries, mystics, shamans, and spiritual adepts across diverse traditions have spoken of a hidden gateway within the human brain, a crystalline structure that, when activated, allows consciousness to transcend the limitations of physical reality and access higher dimensions of existence. Modern science calls this structure the pineal gland, a tiny pinecone-shaped organ nestled deep within the brain. But what ancient wisdom keepers understood, and what cutting-edge research is now beginning to confirm, is that this diminutive gland may be far more than just another piece of neural anatomy. It may be nothing less than our biological connection to realms beyond ordinary perception. In 2013, a team of researchers at the University of Michigan made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Using advanced imaging techniques, they confirmed that the human pineal gland contains microcrystals of calcite, the same piezoelectric crystals used in modern technologies to convert electromagnetic energy into mechanical energy. In other words, your pineal gland contains natural crystals that respond to electromagnetic fields, potentially allowing it to act as a biological transceiver, capable of both receiving and transmitting frequencies beyond the normal range of human perception. But here's what's truly extraordinary. When these researchers examined the crystalline structure of the pineal calcite under high-powered microscopes, they discovered that these crystals are arranged in a hexagonal lattice pattern identical to the molecular structure of DMT, dimethyltryptamine, the powerful psychedelic compound that the pineal gland itself produces naturally in the human brain. This isn't coincidence, it's evidence of a biological system specifically designed to facilitate expanded states of consciousness. What modern science is only beginning to understand, ancient traditions have recognized for millennia. The pineal gland appears in esoteric symbolism across cultures, from the Eye of Horus in ancient Egypt to the pinecone staff of Dionysus in Greece, from the third eye of Hindu tradition to the pinecone courtyards of the Vatican. These weren't arbitrary symbols, they were encoded references to the most powerful transformative tool in human biology, a tool that most of us have never learned to consciously activate. But why has this knowledge been systematically obscured? Why do most people go through their entire lives without ever experiencing the extraordinary capacities of their own pineal gland? The uncomfortable truth is that an activated pineal gland fundamentally changes how you perceive and interact with reality. It dissolves the illusion of separation and reveals the interconnected nature of all existence. And this shift in perception is inherently threatening to systems of control that depend on humans remaining in a state of divided consciousness. Think about it. How do you control someone who can directly access higher dimensions of information? How do you manipulate someone who can see beyond the material plane? How do you instill fear in someone who has experienced the infinite nature of consciousness? You can't. This is why pineal activation has been relegated to esoteric mystery schools and secret societies, while the general population has been kept unaware of this extraordinary biological capacity. But the time for secrecy has passed. As humanity faces unprecedented challenges that cannot be solved from our current level of consciousness, the activation of the pineal gateway has become not just a path of personal evolution, but a planetary necessity. So let's explore what the pineal gland actually is, how it becomes dormant, and most importantly, how you can reactivate this forgotten gateway to higher dimensions. The pineal gland, despite its small size, roughly the size of a grain of rice, receives more blood flow per cubic volume than any other organ in your body except the kidneys. This extraordinary blood supply suggests its critical importance to biological function. Located in the geometric center of the brain, the pineal sits at the same level as the eyes, forming what esoteric traditions call the third eye triangle. It's the only brain structure that doesn't have a left and right version. There's only one pineal gland, making it uniquely singular in the otherwise dual structure of the brain. What makes the pineal truly remarkable, however, is its unique cellular composition. Unlike other brain tissue, the pineal contains specialized cells called pinealocytes that share striking similarities with the photoreceptor cells in your retina. In other words, your pineal gland contains cells that are designed to perceive light, despite being encased in darkness at the center of your skull. Even more fascinating, these pinealocytes contain the same rhodopsin photopigments found in your eyes, allowing the pineal to respond directly to electromagnetic frequencies. But here's what modern textbooks don't tell you. In lower vertebrates, the pineal gland actually has a cornea, a lens, and retina. It's literally a third eye. In humans, this structure has internalized during evolution, but it maintains its connection to light through a pathway called the retino-hypothalamic tract, a direct connection from your eyes to your pineal gland. This is why the pineal is responsible for producing melatonin in response to darkness, regulating your sleep-wake cycle. However, melatonin production is just the surface-level function of this extraordinary gland. At deeper levels of activation, the pineal produces DMT, often called the spirit molecule, a compound so powerful that even minute amounts can completely transform consciousness, dissolving the boundaries of ordinary perception and opening awareness to dimensions beyond physical reality. Research by Dr. Rick Strassman at the University of New Mexico has shown that DMT is released in significant quantities during 3 major life events: birth, deep meditative states, and the moment of death. This suggests that DMT may be the chemical key that allows consciousness to enter and exit the physical dimension, a biological mechanism for transcendence that we all possess but rarely activate consciously. So if we're all born with this extraordinary capacity, why do so few people experience it? The answer lies in understanding how the pineal becomes dormant, and the deliberate ways this dormancy has been induced in modern populations. The primary cause of pineal calcification, as opposed to the beneficial crystallization mentioned earlier, is the introduction of fluoride into public water systems and dental products. Research published in the journal Fluoride has demonstrated that fluoride accumulates in the pineal at higher concentrations than any other bone or tissue in the body, leading to premature aging of this vital gland. By the time the average American reaches adulthood, their pineal gland has become significantly calcified, not with the beneficial piezoelectric crystals, but with hardened deposits that inhibit function. This isn't conspiracy theory, it's documented biochemistry. Fluoride's ability to calcify the pineal is acknowledged in the scientific literature. What's rarely discussed is whether this effect is an unfortunate side effect or an intentional strategy of consciousness suppression. I'll leave that for you to consider. But perhaps most importantly, pineal activation reveals the true nature of reality itself, not as a solid objective world existing independently of consciousness, but as a fluid, responsive field that's continuously shaped by consciousness. From this expanded perspective, you recognize that what we call reality is more like a shared dream than a fixed external world, and like a dream, it can be consciously influenced and transformed. This understanding isn't just spiritually significant, it's practically transformative. When you recognize reality as responsive to consciousness rather than separate from it, you naturally begin to create very differently. Instead of struggling against seemingly external conditions, you work directly with the consciousness that's generating those conditions. This is the true foundation of what many traditions call manifestation or reality creation, not as a magical process, but as the natural outcome of understanding how reality actually functions. As your pineal activation deepens, you'll likely experience several distinct phases of awakening. The first is usually characterized by increased sensory sensitivity. Colors appear more vivid, sounds more nuanced, intuitive impressions stronger. You may notice synchronicities increasing in your life, as if reality itself is becoming more responsive to your thoughts and feelings. The second phase often involves direct perception of subtle energy, seeing auras around people, animals, or plants, noticing energy patterns in environments, or becoming aware of presences that aren't physically visible. This isn't imagination, it's perception of frequencies that have always been present but were previously filtered out by your sensory processing. The third phase typically includes access to information beyond ordinary knowing, what's traditionally called claircognizance. You simply know things without being able to explain how you know them. This occurs because the activated pineal allows your consciousness to access the unified field of information that connects all points in space-time. The fourth phase often involves conscious awareness beyond the physical body, the ability to maintain awareness while a portion of your consciousness explores non-physical dimensions. This is what traditional spiritual systems call astral projection or shamanic journeying. But understood through the lens of pineal activation, it's simply consciousness freed from exclusive identification with the physical brain. The final and most profound phase is the direct experience of unity consciousness, the recognition that all apparently separate forms, including your own identity, are expressions of a single unified field of consciousness. This isn't a philosophical concept, but a direct perception that fundamentally transforms how you experience yourself and reality. It's important to understand that these phases aren't strictly sequential, and experiences from different phases may occur simultaneously or in varying order. The process of pineal activation is unique for each person, influenced by their individual consciousness, beliefs, and readiness. It's also crucial to approach this process with respect and proper preparation. The pineal gland has been protected by veils of secrecy in traditional systems for good reason. Rapid or unprepared activation can be disorienting or even frightening if you don't have the conceptual framework to understand what's happening. This is why traditional systems always paired technical practices with philosophical understanding, ethical development, and the guidance of those who had already navigated these states. If you choose to explore pineal activation, do so gradually and with conscious intention. Create a solid foundation through regular meditation, study of wisdom traditions that explain expanded states of consciousness, and ideally connection with others who are exploring similar paths. The awakening of the pineal isn't just an individual journey. It's part of a collective evolution of consciousness that's unfolding on our planet at this time. As more humans activate this forgotten gateway, we're collectively remembering what our ancestors knew, that we are not limited beings confined to a physical world, but multidimensional consciousnesses with access to realms far beyond ordinary perception. And this remembering couldn't be happening at a more crucial time. The challenges facing humanity today cannot be solved from the same level of consciousness that created them. Climate change, social division, economic inequality, and the existential questions raised by artificial intelligence. These aren't problems that can be addressed through the limited perspective of separated consciousness. They require the expanded awareness that comes from perceiving through the activated pineal, the awareness that recognizes our fundamental interconnection and can access solutions from beyond our current paradigm. This is why pineal activation isn't just a path of personal evolution, it's becoming a planetary necessity. As more individuals awaken this biological gateway to higher dimensions, the collective consciousness of humanity begins to shift. New possibilities emerge. Solutions that were invisible from our previous perspective become obvious, and the artificial systems of separation that have dominated human society begin to dissolve in the light of direct perception of our unity. If you feel called to explore this path of pineal activation, trust that this calling is not random. In many traditions it's said that the pineal awakens when consciousness is ready, when the soul has reached a point in its evolution where it's prepared to perceive beyond the veils of physical reality. The fact that you're watching this video, that this information has found its way to you, suggests that you may be at this threshold. So I invite you to begin this journey of remembering, not learning something new but reclaiming a capacity that has always been yours. Start with the simple practices I've shared: detoxification, frequency exposure, light stimulation, and most importantly, focused consciousness directed to the pineal center. Be patient with the process, understanding that you're reversing years or decades of dormancy. And as your pineal begins to awaken, approach the experiences that emerge with both wonder and discernment. Not everything perceived through the activated pineal will be immediately understandable to your rational mind. Allow yourself to develop a new relationship with knowing, one that integrates both intellectual understanding and direct perception from higher dimensions. If this information resonates with you, if you feel a call to explore pineal activation, drop the word activate in the comments below. This isn't just for engagement, it's a declaration of your intention to reclaim this extraordinary capacity. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe to join a community of consciousness explorers who are remembering together what it means to be fully human, with all the multidimensional capacities that entails. The forgotten gateway is forgotten no more. The time has come to remember who we truly are, to perceive beyond the limitations we've accepted, and to access the higher dimensions that have always been waiting just beyond the veil of ordinary perception. Your pineal gland, your biological stargate, is ready to activate. The only question is, are you ready to remember? Beyond fluoride, the pineal is highly sensitive to electromagnetic pollution, the sea of wireless frequencies, smart meters, cell towers, and electronic devices that now surround us constantly. These artificial EMFs interfere with the pineal's ability to attune to natural electromagnetic fields, including the Earth's resonant frequency, the Schumann resonance, and even cosmic radiation that the pineal may be designed to receive. Additionally, the pineal requires darkness to function optimally. The constant exposure to artificial light, particularly blue light from screens, disrupts not just melatonin production, but the entire biochemical cascade that would naturally lead to higher states of pineal activation. Our ancestors experienced true darkness every night, allowing their pineal glands to move through the complete activation cycle. Most modern humans never experience this darkness, keeping the pineal perpetually suppressed. But perhaps the most insidious cause of pineal dormancy isn't physical at all. It's the systematic programming of disbelief. From early childhood, we're taught to dismiss non-physical perception as imagination or fantasy. We're conditioned to trust only the 5 physical senses and to reject any information that comes through other channels. This psychological conditioning is perhaps more effective than any physical suppression, as it causes us to dismiss pineal activation experiences even when they do occur. The good news is that regardless of your age or how calcified your pineal gland may be, this extraordinary organ can be reactivated. The pineal is remarkably responsive to conscious intention and specific practices designed to restore its function. Let's explore the most powerful methods for awakening this forgotten gateway. The first step in pineal activation is detoxification, removing the accumulated fluoride and other calcifying agents that have hardened this sensitive gland. One of the most effective substances for this purpose is boron, a trace mineral that binds to fluoride and helps remove it from the body. Natural sources include organic beets, avocados, bananas, and raw honey. Alternatively, small amounts of food-grade boron supplements can accelerate this detoxification process. Another powerful detoxifier is activated charcoal, which can help remove heavy metals and toxins that affect pineal function. Used occasionally, not daily, activated charcoal can support the overall detoxification process. Additionally, raw apple cider vinegar contains malic acid, which helps dissolve calcification throughout the body, including in the pineal. But perhaps the most direct way to begin decalcifying the pineal is through fully filtered water. Removing fluoride, chlorine, and other chemicals from your drinking water is essential for pineal health. And while it may take time to reverse years of calcification, many people report noticeable shifts in consciousness within weeks of implementing these detoxification protocols. Beyond detoxification, specific frequencies can help restore and activate pineal function. The pineal responds powerfully to sound, particularly binaural beats at the theta frequency range 4 to 7 Hz. These frequencies synchronize brain waves into the same state naturally experienced during deep meditation, creating ideal conditions for pineal activation. Certain essential oils also support pineal function, particularly frankincense and sandalwood. These oils have been used in spiritual practices for thousands of years, and modern research confirms they contain compounds that can cross the blood-brain barrier and directly affect the pineal. Simply inhaling these oils while focusing attention on the pineal region can initiate activation. Light stimulation provides another pathway for pineal activation. While it may seem counterintuitive since the pineal is deep within the brain, specific light frequencies can reach the pineal through a phenomenon called transdermal light absorption. The pineal is particularly responsive to full-spectrum natural light, which is why spending time outdoors without sunglasses for at least short periods can help stimulate pineal function. But beyond these physical interventions, the most powerful activator of the pineal gland is focused consciousness itself. The pineal responds directly to thought and intention, which is why meditation practices centered on the third eye have been core techniques in spiritual traditions worldwide. Try this simple practice. Close your eyes and focus your attention on the space between your eyebrows. Then gradually move your awareness backward into the center of your head, where the pineal is located. As you hold attention there, imagine a soft indigo or violet light beginning to glow in this region. Maintain this focused awareness for even just 5-10 minutes daily, and you'll begin to establish a conscious connection with your pineal gland. As this connection strengthens, you may begin to notice subtle shifts in perception. Many people report seeing light patterns with closed eyes, experiencing vivid dreams, having spontaneous insights, or feeling energy sensations in the forehead area. These are all signs that pineal activation is beginning. But the most profound aspects of pineal activation go far beyond these initial experiences. As activation deepens, the pineal begins to secrete what esoteric traditions call the nectar of the gods, a combination of DMT, melatonin, pineal, and other neurochemicals that induce states of expanded consciousness. In these states, perception is no longer limited to the physical dimension. Many people report being able to perceive energy fields around living beings, access information beyond ordinary knowing, communicate telepathically, or experience conscious awareness beyond the confines of the physical body. These aren't hallucinations, they're expanded perceptions made possible by a fully functioning pineal gland. The ancient Taoists referred to the fully activated pineal as the crystal palace, and described how it allows consciousness to perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Tibetan Buddhists developed entire systems of practice centered on what they call Thogao, the direct perception of reality through the awakened third eye. Indigenous shamanic traditions worldwide contain techniques for activating what they describe as the seeing that knows, facilitated by the awakened pineal. These traditions aren't describing metaphors or symbolic experiences. They're providing technical instructions for activating a biological capacity that all humans possess but few have learned to use consciously. And as your pineal activation deepens, you'll understand why this knowledge has been both revered and concealed throughout human history. Because here's the extraordinary truth: the pineal gland, when fully activated, functions as a biological stargate, a portal that allows consciousness to access dimensions beyond space-time as we normally perceive it. The DMT and related compounds it produces don't simply alter consciousness, they temporarily free consciousness from its localization in the brain, allowing it to perceive from vantage points beyond physical limitations. This is why pineal activation has been the central focus of mystery schools and spiritual traditions worldwide. It's not just about having interesting experiences or developing psychic abilities. It's about fundamentally transforming how consciousness interfaces with reality, shifting from the limited perspective of a physical being, having occasional spiritual experiences, to the expanded awareness of a multidimensional consciousness temporarily focused in physical form. This shift in perspective changes everything. Problems that seem insurmountable from the physical perspective become solvable when perceived from higher dimensions. Information that's inaccessible to the five senses becomes directly available. The artificial boundaries that seem to separate you from others dissolve, revealing the unified field of consciousness that connects all beings.